Okay, welcome back. So in this video, we're going to look at how the New Deal responded to the difficulties in the rural areas in the agricultural sector of the U.S. economy. So as part of the New Deal, again, under the 100 days, another part of the initiative was to deal with the plight of farmers. And to do that, Roosevelt and Congress passed the Agricultural Adjustment Act, or the AAA. Uh, Elements of this act included things like production quotas intended to help raise farm prices. That is, that they would cap how much you could produce. Subsidies were also offered to farmers to remove land from cultivation, essentially paying farmers to plant less stuff. And again, they even went so far as to destroy crops and livestock. The book mentions specifically the slaughter of something like 6 million pigs in order to take them out of production, again, with the goal of raising farm prices. Now, ultimately, all of this worked. It was really extreme, but we do see a revival in farm prices and income, but the impact is extremely uneven. Generally speaking, farmers that own their own lands gained from this. They gained from the subsidies, to remove land from cultivation, and they were able to see their profits rise. But tenant farmers and sharecroppers were largely displaced, and the results were often disastrous. Landowners would remove land from cultivation, which meant that a lot of sharecroppers and tenant farmers, lost their livelihood as the land that they were working was taken out of production, and they weren't eligible for subsidies because they didn't own the land that they were working on. Ultimately, while this benefited some, it didn't benefit everybody, and we actually see a worsening of rural hardship. Middle America was also suffering in the 1930s, one of the worst droughts in the century, and those effects were made worse by poor farming practices. The constant mechanical plowing of the same land over and over and over again pulverized the topsoil and killed off a lot of the native grasses, which helped to prevent erosion, keeping the soil in place. As winds blew, they picked up all of this loose topsoil and blew it away in massive dust clouds. We've seen, I hope all of us have seen images of it, as they're fairly easy to come by. This dust bowl, as it was described, created a massive displacement of farmers, with over 1 million leaving the Midwest and their farms and going elsewhere, to the west, to California, and even back to the East Coast as well. This whole period of economic hardship for farmers was immortalized in John Steinbeck's epic novel, The Grapes of Wrath, which follows the Joad family as they are displaced after a dust storm in Oklahoma demolishes their farm. And so they pick up their lives and their family and leave for California to try and find better for themselves. So this was a good thing and also a bad thing. The Agricultural Adjustment Act did successfully raise farm prices and kind of get things back under control, but it was not equally profitable to everyone in the farm sector, and it helped to increase that movement towards large farms, large corporate farms, and not sort of forcing a lot of small farmers out of the business. In that case, the Agricultural Adjustment Act is also going to get some challenge in the Supreme Court as well, and so it is under threat. In our next video, we're going to look at some other provisions of the first New Deal, generally passed in that first 100 days.